Royal Berkshire, home to Windsor Castle, Royal Ascot and the playing fields of Eton. It was the mid-1980s and the hoi polloi were having it rather good. But it was a nation divided. There was violence on the terraces and unrest on the streets. However, there was a party on the horizon and everyone would be invited. You just had to know where to look for it. As the decade came to a close, rave culture swept the nation, sparking a moral panic which enticed even more of the nation's youth to an undisclosed location near you. But whilst the media's eye was trained on the white gloves waving in the air, the true sound of the underground could be found lurking in the unlikely function suites of the suburbs. This is the story of how one unassuming county contributed to a cultural revolution inspired by the party island of Ibiza.
Gonna have a good time. We're 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 gonna have a good time.
The holiday 4 British DJs took to Ibiza in 1987 has become part of clubland folklore. They experienced an epiphany in the heady atmosphere of the open-air club called Amnesia. The resident DJ Alfredo took them on an ecstasy-infused musical journey. Europop harmonised with house, indie resonated with industrial beats, and chart hits were transformed under the influence of the drug, the time, and the place. Vibe was full of peace and positivity, and collectively, it blew their minds.
2 days of surgery doors being open and we're a bit fragile today.
Danny Rampling and friends returned home with a missionary zeal to bring the Balearic spirit and sound back to grey and rainy Britain. Inspired, Danny and his wife Jenny set to work transforming a tiny fitness centre in an unfashionable backwater of South London into Shoom, the club that would set the blueprint for the cultural revolution that was to follow.
It was just a euphoric sort of atmosphere. I sort of realised this was going to be massive. It was so new, so different, that you just had to do it, you had to go. It became almost church-like because people, you know, had sort of put down their barriers, and it did become slightly religious at one point, I think. It really changed people's lives.
Football hooligans rubbed shoulders and hands with pop stars and fashionistas. It was revolutionary for such mismatched faces to share a collective experience. They were the privileged few that would witness the life-changing house of love.
I would say that invariably, most of the people would have discovered Shoom and then gone away thinking, I have to be the sort of disciple that spreads the word, you know.
Amongst the new converts were 2 seasoned club-going gentlemen from Berkshire. Terry Farley was a Chelsea-obsessed gasfitter from Slough. Typically, he began his love affair with clubland as a soul boy travelling across the southeast in search of the best dance floors and records. He finally persuaded his mercurial friend Andy Weatherall to make the pilgrimage with him to South London. Shoom instantly lit a spark in the fledgling DJs who recognised that this was something new, a movement they could call their own. The secret was theirs and it had to be shared. It was time for England to start dreaming again, and they were going to spread the word to the Shires. Farley and Weatherall had started a loose collective of cultural hooligans known as Boys Own. Their raucous fanzine became a badly behaved beacon for the burgeoning underground, and their Boys Own parties introduced the Balearic beat to the altogether more bucolic surroundings of the home counties.
I think it was 89 in the summer. We went to a Boys Own party. It was a big white tent. That's where I first met Weatherall. He showed me the fanzine of the Boys On, and it had listing my favourite records at the moment, and One of his was the ballads from the new Primal Scream record. We weren't getting a lot of favourable press at that time, so it was quite a big deal. I was like, oh, somebody likes this, you know. We just wanted a record that could be played in the clubs that we were going to.
Weatherall's first remix for Primal Scream was an instant classic. Loaded invented a genre and turned Primal Scream into the coolest band in Britain overnight.
Andrew Weatherall was a very charismatic guy, and right away there was a connection, you know.
Andrew was claimed as a local hero by Berkshire's Party Hearty. As his reputation as a DJ grew, residents took a perverse pleasure in welcoming London's most switched on to their local tavernas.
For me, it was very much about following the DJs, and particularly Andrew Weatherall, who I really always loved. I sort of met this whole new set of people who I'd never known before and had this amazing time.
If Weatherall was DJing somewhere, you know, we would go and see him. You know, I remember seeing him play in this club and there was 3 people there.
The Boys' Own Collective's insider knowledge but outsider attitude always kept them one step ahead of the game.
We're just interested in the best of anything.
Without sounding pretentious, there's an attitude to the music. It's all got a bit of spunk and it's all got a bit of life in it.
But the club's always been the catalyst, and they're full of energy at the moment.
Berkshire had seen the light. Ritzy discos and mock Tudor boozers would have to be hastily converted into hotbeds of hedonism.
Boys Home were doing it, Shoom were doing it, and, you know, I had to do it, didn't I? When we started Passion, I think like 300 people coming in, because it was a bank holiday. There was like 40,000 ravers over there and 25,000 over there. That weekend, it went from 300 to like 1,000, 1,500 people going around the block. It's like, fucking hell, it's Squid City, aren't we? It's a local thing to them down the years. The Berkshire kids, from Ascot to Maidenhead to Bracknell, it was on their doorstep, wasn't it? You'd have Rampling, Weatherall, Farley. It was the nearest you could get to an Ibiza club. You go in and it was like disco lights, swimming pool, and it was big. Skinner's Hotel, the beautiful place. I don't know so much after having like 800 ravers and everywhere. I think the carpets took a battering.
Another soul boy turned Shoomer had a knack for picking the perfect place for a party. He created his island fantasy on the banks of a reservoir under the Heathrow Airport flight path.
Phil Perry has joined the conference.
In the golden summer of '88, the Queen's Reservoir Sailing Club would be home to 2 quite different types of recreational activity.
They've got a big building on the top of the reservoir, and the inside was done up like your typical sort of 80s club. You know, you'd look out from the club, you could see right across the reservoir. People would start drawing these sort of comparisons to sort of Cafe Del Mar and stuff like that. Obviously, there was quite strong drugs around at the time. So we'd drape all the place out, cover the windows up, and effectively turn sort of day into night again on a Sunday afternoon. And there'd be all these people in their sort of wetsuits saying, "Oh, lovely sail today," and all these people completely cake-old, just sort of wandering round.
Don't forget, this was like 88, 89. People just didn't get it. All these aliens had been plonked in there. It was surreal in its beauty.
It's very classic Berkshire to co-opt something that's mundane.
It was just in the bottom of a happy shopper. So you'd go in the top, get a few snacks maybe from the happy shopper, a tin of beans or something like that, then go down the stairs into the kind of stinky basement and listen to the latest songs and get a few tickets.
We now have our tickets for Sunday.
If you played it to someone and said, these all records fit into this category, they'd be like, what the hell have they got to do with each other? But I mean, maybe that's the main point of it. When some DJ played something that sometimes, when you first heard, you were like, what the hell is this? And then 10 minutes later, you're like, hands in the air, it's brilliant. Instant Balearic classic.
There was literally no stone unturned. There was no venue, no golf club, no sailing club, no Ritzies that didn't have, you know, Benson's had a night.
Henry's in Burnham Beeches.
You know, Cinderella Rockefellers had a night.
Well, that one had the swimming pool, didn't it, that came round the corner across the edge of the dance floor, which is pretty kind of Ibiza. At the beginning, you feel like you're involved in some sort of secret, and it felt amazing to like walk home in the morning down the streets that you walk to school at. There'd be the most phenomenal rave up going on. Loads of people come down for London, have a big old dance up. I'm thinking, I can't believe that's all just happened on a Sunday. And like, we're not in Ibiza or sort of Berlin or something. We're in like Maidenhead.
Berkshire had embarked on its own vision of the Balearic Odyssey, sending the satellite towns of love into overdrive. But was it just a chemically induced mirage, or would the rest of the country follow suit? The borough of Berkshire was enjoying high times in the early 90s. Its basement bars and discos thronged with freshly converted home county hedonists. Berkshire had gone Balearic. But would Britain follow suit, and could the scene survive it?
The strange thing for me was I was actually born and brought up in Amersham. When I moved to Manchester and got into clubbing, they started to talk about the pubs that I used to go in and get thrown out of. Winker's Farm in Chalfont or something, you know. Suddenly become the hotbed of poncho-wearing, amyl-sniffing maniacs. I was like, what's happened since I went away? I mean, it was a very respectable neighbourhood when I left. The Boys Own thing became a mythical land, like a Narnia, Balearic Narnia.
The mainstream media had missed the Balearic bus. Culturally and musically, they would have to hang around for the next one. The Boys Own fanzine had been left to fill the void with their scrapes and capers from the underground.
I was approached to do Venus, which was a kind of, what you would say, a kind of chavvy club that was there in Nottingham. Obviously people knew about Boys Own, people in the know knew about Boys Own. This guy, Paul Wayne, had a chat in the Boys Own magazine, and I went, fucking hell, that's it. So I got Paul to become a resident, you know, he's my link. I found the sound of Venus.
Situated in the heart of England, Venus had the potential to bring a nation of clubbers together under one roof. But it would take a visit from the party scene's Pied Piper to make everything click. Charlie Chester was the club promoter who liked to be on the move. He managed to turn his night flying into the first Balearic brand by bringing the party to far-flung regions of the UK. In 1990, the Flying Squad even re-imported the Balearic beat to Ibiza, which has been the second home for British clubland ever since.
3 or 4 months, people in Nottingham weren't really getting what I was doing until Charlie brought flying up to Venus on a Friday night. And there was like 5 coaches come up. And that was it, bang. It just happened. Everybody wanted to be a piece of Venus. It was that influence that actually made Venus.
We would take coaches up from down south and go up to Venus. Under the last nutcases rolled into their club, everybody completely spangled, and all they wanted to do from when they walked in the door was dance.
The setup was amazing. I used to have tambourines behind in the cloakroom, so that when people walked in, they could have this, you know, they're dancing with tambourines. People turned up with blow-up air guitars.
It was fairly unusual for people to extensively travel to go for nights out. You used to sort of stick to your locale, so it was exciting to take coach loads of people to like Venus in Nottingham or down to flying events in London. People refer to that time as the Balearic network, and sometimes disparagingly, but I thought it was a great thing.
The idea of the Balearic network had begun as an in-joke on the pages of the Boys Own fanzine. But it was true that the initial spark of the scene had been so powerful that it had sent embers flying to the most far-flung locations. Torquay, Middlesbrough, Cardiff, Belfast, Ayr, Manchester all had their own nights. But it was Berkshire that had laid claim to Sundays. In a chemically charged atmosphere of the early 90s, when no one wanted the weekend to end, all roads would lead to a nondescript pub on a lay-by near Slough. Full Circle on Sunday afternoons was where the DJs and promoters of Balearic Britain could come together and let down their mains.
That's where the original Sunday clubbing started. It started in Berkshire. When we first started Full Circle, we wanted to continue that legacy.
It was very much about extending the weekend, you know, because you didn't want to go home. You wanted to extend this experience as long as you could, and so that's why you went Full Circle, really.
I always equate it with the summer, with summertime, the sunshine. I just remembered the energy being incredible and a sense of possibility. You know, maybe that came from being young, and also, I guess, the drug, the ecstasy, and just there's a real positivity about the whole scene. I remember always sat in somebody's flat after the club at 7 in the morning thinking, what are we doing here? Everybody completely wasted but stranded, you know, because we were so far out of London and nobody had a car. We just still managed to get out of there somehow. I don't know how we got there.
You didn't really know what to expect, you know, just a kind of a party in a pub. And then you went there and it was kicking off. It was like, it was properly like the middle of the night in a full-on club, but it was 3 in the afternoon on a Sunday.
I'd just been having a roast with my mum and they were all talking about having been somewhere else all night. And it was only at that point I realised people were coming from London, having been up all night there. It wasn't just people like me that had come out at 3:30 after Sunday lunch. And that, you know, it was a really big deal that people would come back distance to go there.
It was a real cross-section of people. It was, you know, suburban kids, football hooligans, the ultra-London gay guys. It was just a real mix-up of everybody. Part of the essence of Full Circle as well, because of the garden. You know, in the summertime, it was fantastic because the garden would be open. Boy Jules would come down, the Pet Shop Boys would come down. Derek Jarman, I think, the film director.
I used to get kidnapped so many times after Venus, and then we'll go down to Full Circle. Winding down is not the right thing to say, really. It was winding up. It wasn't just about this network in a club. It was like, you got to know the families. You know what I mean? It became this big Balearic families, mothers, sisters, and brothers, and etc. You know.
DJ culture, born out of an urge to share in each other's experience, was about to become very big business indeed.
When we started off, none of us thought it was, you know, didn't know how long it was going to last. It's probably like, this is fun. Let's just do this until we don't do this. Now DJs have tour managers and there's branding and super clubs have happened and all this kind of stuff and stadiums.
The secret was out. Super clubs were just around the corner. They would package the unpredictable and formalise the fun. The vision had come a long way from the utopian nights in the open-air disco with Alfredo.
Then after a while, those things got bigger and you started seeing the people there that you think, used to beat me up at school. And there was more and more people involved in it. It kind of, I think, loses the edge a little bit. And I think your moment in it is lost slightly because what was special about it then becomes everybody's. See, it's not secret anymore, you know. And I think that's the thing with any great youth culture. You need to feel like it's special, it's yours.
Balearic had always been more of an understanding than a sound, the shared embrace provoked by the right record at the right time. Commercialised clubbing craved a more definable kind of sound. Our more uncompromising heroes turned to the darker arts of techno to shake off the masses and provide a different kind of mischief. The scene had become divided. The sun had set on Berkshire's halcyon dream. Many of the faces had moved on, and a generation of inspired youth travelled to London to put what they had experienced into practice. Those that stayed behind carried on with their lives and cherished the friends they'd made and their mind-altering memories. But although Berkshire's Balearic moment had passed, the spark it had lit in the home county hedonists would never be extinguished.
In this country, people are always told, no, you can't do that, you don't belong here, you're not good enough. And anything that can inspire people to try and, be creative, be themselves, not be afraid to break through the barriers that are being put up there, because the barriers don't really exist. But other people have put them there, you can smash them.
I think it was a huge shift. In fact, advertising agencies even talk about it. They say that, people are either, pre-rave or post-rave, and I think it really affects how you think about the world. I think it's suddenly opened up.
It just seemed like something that was within people's grasp to do, get a sound system, mate with a couple of records, and and there's your revolution for you.
People still talk about it and still remember it fondly 25 years later. Hell of a lot of people that used to come to Full Circle in Queens, and the DJs and everybody else that came there, I'm still friends with them today.
If you're into music, you refer to your parents' record collection. It happens to be that these young musicians now, the record collections they're referencing are their mums and dads' Balearic collections.
Tell this to everybody wherever they are.
It was an amazing time, but it's just culturally, from time to time, there's like a crack in the sky and the light gets through. Everything's grey and depressing and negative, and then there's a crack in the sky and the light gets through, and a lot of great people manage to get through while there's a crack there, and they bring, they put good stuff out into the world, make people feel good and connect people.